Ziwayi vanhu veZimbabwe, salibonani abantu veZimbabwe. Awusheni, unjani uTomi? Marhaba bikum. Wassalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shalom aleichem. Beloya su shevet mi Yehuda. Bonjour Zimbabwe, a common television. Hello folks, and how are you? My name is Gastaff Kativu, electronic engineer and specialist in aviation, oil and gas, and telecommunications. 46 years old. I'm returning expatriate, previously domiciled in the Middle East from 2007 to 2016, now permanently in Zimbabwe and leading the CKD Campaign, which is a non-political party citizen movement pushing for a life in Zimbabwe. And I will be standing as presidential candidate in 2018 presidential election and campaigning on the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution, which is a book on Amazon.com/DP/1530753511 entitled The CKD Campaign Leadership After Robert Mugabe, the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. Financing the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. A. Cost savings from a small government. The new bank will consist of one president with no deputy and 12 ministers with no deputies, and such a small government will make available substantial cost savings required to finance part of the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. Number B, one-class model in secondary school. The new government will recruit about 50 teachers per subject in secondary school to provide one-class model lesson to be administered via cable or satellite television to all Zimbabwe in sub-Saharan African schools, with individual schools required to provide tutors to provide students help to follow the central teacher, which will reduce the number of secondary school teachers by about 60%. C. Closure of Zimbabwe prisons. The new government will close the Zimbabwe prisons and integrate all prison inmates onto the job market to work from their home to pay for their commissions and at the same time fend for their families. A convicted employee will pay 100% to the victim in restitution and another 100% to the central government in order to discourage crime, to ensure that crime does not pay. Today, crime is paying. No wonder citizens are committing so much crime. A bank teller will steal 5 salaries from a bank, but will be sentenced to 2 years in jail and will make a profit of 3 years' salaries. Number D, reduced police force. The new Mosha Inoripwa Uvada law justice system will incorporate prophets and citizens of spirit, madzibaba ne madzimai anemweya, to help the justice system identify suspects in cases committed in the absence of both witnesses and evidence, which will require substantial reduction of the current police officers to about 20% of the existing police force. Number E, downsized Zimbabwe National Army. The current men and women in the National Army will not be demobilized, but will be required to retire at the end of their excellent careers, which will result in a smaller army or 30% of the current active soldiers. The other 70% will be inactive or reserve soldiers acquired through the training of all boys aged 18 years or after completion of high school before entering college, which will not disturb their careers at all, and these inactive or reserve soldiers will be recalled by the commander-in-chief when the need arises. The sum effect of the above measures will free substantial capital which will be required to bankroll the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. Monetary policy. The new government will decommission the existing Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and constitute the new Bank of Zimbabwe to print and administer the new Zimbabwe currency, Mari Imali, to replace the defunct Zimbabwe dollar. The new Bank of Zimbabwe will be managed by a Zimbabwean citizen very fluent in international banking with special experience in American, European, and Asian banking systems to be able to provide finance from within Zimbabwe to bankroll the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution envisioned in the book, The CKD Campaign, Leadership After Robert Mugabe, the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution, on Amazon.com. Number 2, Mari Mali. The new government will not use its gold to buy American green paper labeled in Zeus the Americans have trust, but will use that gold to back up a new currency called Mari Imali. Mari Imali and not foreign direct investment will finance the Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution. The thinking that finance must be in foreign currency and printed by the white man for black people to borrow must be economic slavery to America, Europe, and Asia. Whoever said finance is money printed by the white man for the black man to borrow or mortgage the future of his children, his throat must be cut off. ZANU-PF government is talking FDI, FDI every day because they were brainwashed in America to think that black people cannot print finance. Don't we have gold and other precious minerals to back up a stable currency? Roman Dutch law attorneys and political scientists really are like appendages of Rome, Amsterdam, and London. Why would a law and finance in Africa be foreign? Number 3, while standing on a mountain of gold, the new leader from the land of gold, Zimbabwe and Africa, will not send economic emissaries all the way to Europe or America, which are the lands of snow in search of finance, to come back home with packaged snow as the illusion of finance. Mari Imali, backed up by natural resources and Zimbabwe Industrial Evolution devices, will be strong and stable currency enough to finance any project as high as science can allow. FDI is the new form of smart imperialism because the white men have no gold. And where does the finance come from? Like in 1884-85 at Berlin, they petitioned Africa to look for gold. And deja vu, they are printing paper money to mortgage the life of unborn African children just over a piece of paper. We are the proprietors of the land of gold, and finance must come from us. Number 4, Mari Imali and not FDI will finance infrastructure developments, roads, dams, irrigation schemes, schools, houses, universities, to improve the quality of life for citizens. Number 5, Mari Imali will solve the current cash crisis which the ZANU-PF government has failed, and think it will solve by encouraging the use of plastic money when globally folks love to carry their hard cash, whether it be dollar, euro, pound, yen, yuan, or rupee. Encouraging the use of plastic money is running away from a problem without solving it. It's like running next door to hide instead of extinguishing your house on fire. New banking points will be introduced in the communities where people live, in vegetable markets and flea markets, to encourage citizens to bank their money. People cannot travel all the way to town to bank $3. Banking must be made easier. A pay slip will not be a requirement to open a bank account, but a national ID, because today it is very difficult to open a bank account. No bank will be allowed to charge any fee for depositing or withdrawing money. Banks will earn their incomes through interest on loans or money transfers to other banks, among other banking services. And any bank that violates such key requirements will lose their license to operate. Currently, most banks are exploiting citizens without central government regulation because most are owned by party officials who donate those bank charges to party conferences and campaigns. Is Region Takawanda Gono, the printer of bearer checks, not a shareholder in CBZ? Is he not using exorbitant bank charges to finance party activities? The ex-governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe played party politics with the Zimbabwe dollar and destroyed the national currency, economy, and devastated the quality of life of pensioners who lost their pension to become beggars, while some Zimbabwean women became prostitutes in order to sustain their families. After that disaster, the ex-governor built for himself a 100-bedroom mansion, and he cannot expect to go scot-free. He is, in fact, the new leader's ace of spades in a deck of cards on wanted list. A good governor of the central bank would offer to resign than play party politics with the national currency. At this moment, there are clear indications that the new governor will be required to play party politics with the bond note, and resignation is the professional code of conduct. If you like the CKD campaign and share its philosophy and objective, information on donations and banking details are on the website sites.google.com/site/CKD campaign. With the level of suffering that the citizens are enduring, record unemployment, corruption, nepotism, no homes, no money, potholed roads, dirty water, uncollected garbage, busted sewer pipes, among other problems delivered to the citizens by ZANU-PF in the opposition is the collective rot or garbage. It will be a disaster if citizens were to vote for the existing polity or garbage and not themselves in 2018 election. They would have sold themselves into political slavery. 2018 election will be a citizen redemption election from political abuse. Oh, politicians, yes, they rob I, and sold I to the depth of poverty. Minutes after I vote them into political power. And remember, for the sake of the great Zimbabwe, I will not rest until normalcy is restored in Zimbabwe. Ndatenda, nyabonga, ndangenda, shukran lakum, toda raba. Merci beaucoup. I thank you.